been a good week so far. Lots of positive energy on campus. I have had the opportunity to hang out with our ambassadors at the Week of Welcome tent. It's been good fun. And the barbecue today was terrific. Thanks to everyone for participating in that. No eclipse. But otherwise, it's been a pretty terrific start to the semester. So thank you all very much for participating in that. And thank you for joining us this afternoon. Lots of things to cover. I will prepare you in advance. It is not all good news. But there is a lot of good news for us to talk about today. I want to do a couple of things before we begin. Our current, for one more month, student body president Imlot went home sick today, but Travis Toth, our vice president, is here. Travis has done a great job over the summer of getting things ready for the elections and the next crew that is going to come in and join us. We have a number of students here, students ambassadors, ASWSUB students, and so if you could stand and let us recognize you. That would be terrific. And we have a number of our new faculty and staff. New faculty starting now, new staff who started since our last State of Campus address in February. If you would stand up and let people see your faces. We totally revamped Lore this year. It was hugely successful. We had 898 students participate in Lore over the summer, and so they should be particularly oriented to campus. This campus update today truly is a campus update. There is very little in the campus update that we didn't cover in the State of the Campus, but a lot has happened in regard to those things that we did cover. And so today, most of what we'll be talking about really is connected to the State of the Campus address and the things that we were highlighting then. But as always, the way that we start our fall campus update is to recognize our staff and to present the Chancellor's Award for Staff Excellence. We had a large group of nominees this year, a robust powerhouse group of nominees this year, and I would like to ask them to stand and be recognized. Thank you all so much for everything that you have done to support our students, to make our campus a better place. It is truly appreciated and hugely important to the success of our campus. It was a very, very tough decision for our selection committee this year, and I am pleased to introduce Sean Welter. Sean is a system administrator, and he's responsible for maintenance and long-term planning for the engineering and computer science network. He handles a multitude of engineering and computer science software. For 5 years, Sean has provided exceptional service to students and faculty. He is known as a person who goes above and beyond his role who faculty see as creative in making all types of projects work. Sean's colleagues, both in and outside of engineering and computer science, appreciate his collaborative attitude and support in helping to resolve computing challenges. His creative and proactive approach to preventing and solving problems makes him an invaluable asset to his department and to WSU Vancouver and to WSU as a system. Thank you very much. Of the start of the year. So we need to talk about enrollment. We have done, I think our staff has done an incredible job of recruiting, and over the course of the summer our numbers have been strong at times and not so strong at other times. The work that we've been doing to increase retention and to promote student success has been really paying off in the retention rates of our students and the graduation rates of our students. I think everybody realizes this, but one of the issues that we tend to face that other campuses don't face is, if your enrollment is primarily first-year students, then you're graduating about a quarter of them every year. If your enrollment is primarily upper-level students, juniors and seniors, then you're graduating a much more significant number. And one of the issues that we face every year is that we graduate about a third of our student body. For 2 years in a row, we've graduated over 1,000 students. And so the work that our admissions team has to do to replace those students is disproportionate to the size of our institution. In addition, without residence halls, without a significant set of residence halls, we are really dealing with what the high school population is in our area, or the transfer population in our area, and those numbers haven't been working as much in our favor, particularly this year as they have in past years. And so, for us, this is a difficult enrollment year, is what I would say. So our enrollment, our goal is 3705. It remains our goal, but today we're only at 3630, and that's head count. The number in terms of our budget is flat today. We're pretty much just a couple of students up from where we were last year. And so that has a number of implications for us in terms of our budget and some of the decisions that we have to make. We also have the spring semester to rectify some of the issues, and the numbers have been bouncing all over the place this year, so that's created other issues for us as well. So this is not the year that you will find me crowing about our new record enrollments. Oddly, we will still have record enrollments. Even though I'm telling you this, but remember, we budget for about 90 new FTE for the year. And so not hitting 90 new FTE at this point is going to require us to be creative and think about certain things moving forward. And our campus has come together around recruitment, and we will come together around addressing this issue. I have no doubt about that at all, and we're already working on some creative solutions, and we will continue to work on that. So our new enrollments are down a bit. Our retention rates continue to climb, and so there is definitely good news on that front, and there is still work to do with in relation to enrollment. And so our plea, and I know I'm doing this on behalf of Laurel and Nancy, Lynn, is please make sure that all of your students are enrolled in their courses by Census Day. Census Day, which a week from Friday, is going to be hugely important for us this year. It always is. We are doing everything to make sure that every student is counted. Our online students are counted. All of that is happening. We need your help as well in being able to really push as far as we can toward our enrollment goals over the next 10 days. So the news is not good. The news could have been much worse, but we will figure this out and we will continue to work on it. So enrollment is a key piece of what is happening for us at the moment. The other piece is, there are many things. There are a lot of moving parts to this organization. Is budget. And I've asked Lynn, because there have been a number of technicalities in the budget, and we've been getting some questions about, more broadly, about how we did last year and where our resources go in the budget. I asked Lynn if she would take a few minutes and update everyone on our budget.
So I just want to point out I haven't spoken with this group in a number of years, and when Mel said it's not all good news, I thought, oh, and that's why. There are only a few of you that I think I don't know, but I do want to let folks know that I have been the Vice Chancellor of Finance and Operations here for 21 years. So this is not the worst year we've had. It's also probably not the best year we've had, but I never get invited up here and go, woohoo, we've got more money than we know what to do with. So with that, we'll continue. I wanted to talk a little bit, I realize you may not be able to see every element, but I wanted to just put the budget in scale for you. This is our total revenue for this last fiscal year that just ended June 30th. I'll point out that it's a total of $53 million that this campus received in fiscal year 2018. Just to scale it, the blue and the red, crimson, are about 75% of our budget. So the bulk of our budget comes in from state and tuition funds, and then there's a variety of other funds, much of which are shown by grant funds, also ASWSUV and auxiliaries. The next two slides will show how we spend it in two different ways. This slide shows on what we spend it, and you'll notice that almost 90% of it goes towards salaries, wages, and benefits. And that's why whenever we talk about budget, we're very mindful of the fact that for us, that's people. And so we can't really easily extract people from budget. And so you'll see that salaries is the largest portion, employee benefits, and then wages at $1 million. We also spent $3.5 million on goods and services, $300,000 in travel, and $500,000 on equipment. This is to what purpose we spent, or the program that we spent it on. So if you look at the chart on the far left, you'll see that it's broken down by kind of academics, which is the largest chunk at 68%, student affairs, plant, libraries, and academic administration. Due to the nature of how WSU is organized, academic administration is what you would normally think of as just administrative expense. So that's the Chancellor's office and related administrative functions like my office. Because 68% goes towards instruction, I just want to show the various different disciplines that roll up and how that kind of breaks down, because 68% is an awfully large chunk. Now I want to migrate from how do we have our revenue and how do we have our expenses to the spending freeze. And you'll recall I try hard to say it's a spending freeze, not a budget cut, because at least they're not taking money away from us. We just have to not spend it. And so I'm going to show some of the same information multiple ways, because I love budgets, I love numbers. I may be alone in this room, I'm close to it. But again, I'm looking to share understanding and information. So the bar chart on the left shows a run rate target, and the bottom blue is our target for 17, the middle section is 18, and the top section will be our target in 19. You'll notice that for 2017 it was the same. That's because nobody told us it was a target until after it was over. So they defined our target beginning as where we ended. Then this next year we had to add to that in the amount of the red, and you'll note that the red actually went up. We exceeded our targets, which means we can lower a little bit our targets for 19. And then our target for this current fiscal year is represented by the green chart. So this is how we did. In 2017, once again, you'll notice that the bar chart on the left equals the bar chart on the right, because that was how it was defined. There was no brilliance on our part, unfortunately. 2018, you'll see that our run target was up. It's about 1.2 million, and we exceeded that by about 400,000, so we saved about 1.6 million. And then for 2019, you'll see that that's up at, I don't remember that exact number, I can do it off the top of my head, but anyway, and hopefully we'll just meet the target for next year. I should point out, sorry, the head of your core funds, that's what we're talking, it's state funds or PBL, what you're used to hearing me talk about, but there's a little bit of variation in there, but it's kind of a rounding area on what we're spending time on. This is other funds. For most of us, we consider that fees, summer session, auxiliaries, things like that. So our target in fiscal year 17, we spent down a carry forward. We didn't run negative, but we spent a carry forward of about $500,000. Once again, you'll recall they defined our goal as what we did, so they're equal. This year, though, our goal was to be equal, and we actually spent down I think it's about $250,000. If you recall, we exceeded our state by about 400, so our net was positive. That came about just because of some last minute anomalies that we didn't have control over. So overall, if people had to pick, they would prefer that we saved more state money than more total money. So we probably won't lose any credit, as it were, because we exceeded. The net is positive. But you can see once again our goal in FY19 would be to break even. So to end, you can spend everything that comes in but not dig into your carry forward. Excuse me. This is the overall campus results. We had a total of 14 units that were required to meet spending reduction targets. And recall, core funds is what you're kind of used to hearing as PBL or state funds. So core funds, 12 units met or exceeded their targets. 2 units did not meet their targets. For the other funds, which is summer session, other types of fees, not all departments have those types, but of the departments that did, there's a total of 11 that did. 9 met or exceeded their other funds targets, and 2 units did not. So if we roll all that together, out of the 14 units that we have, 11 units met or exceeded both of their targets. And by the way, I took a little bit of rounding error. If you missed it by a tiny bit of money, if you were offsetting, I kind of let that go. It doesn't matter if it's just a few pennies, it's really the big picture. And then 2 units met one of their 2 carry forward targets, and 1 unit didn't meet either. So overall, the campus had a very positive outcome and did a really nice job in a difficult circumstance. I do want to acknowledge all the work that probably every single person in this room did, but none more so, I think, than the leaders of our various academic and administrative units. This isn't easy to do. It's good for our campus that we have reserves, but frankly, it's frustrating for everyone not to be able to spend it. So I just want to give a huge shout out because I know that this was a painful year, but the fact that the campus has worked through a variety of budget scenarios over the past several decades was certainly helpful. I'm not going to take questions now. I'm going to keep us on target, but there will be opportunities for Q&A at the end. I will also just say I love budget. I love talking about budget. I realize I'm a little unusual, but if anybody wants to dig in deeper or have me come to their view notes or do Q&A, I'm happy and very willing to do that. So with that.
I think one of the things that makes this frustrating is from that first chart that you saw how much of our budget is personal service, human services. So as people have been trying to cut even 0.5%, it is, if we don't cut people, then we are really digging in disproportionately into our goods and services, and that's part of, I think, the frustration that all of us were feeling over the last year. So we do, to Lynn's point, really understand how hard that was and how it will be harder again this year to make that happen. So moving from that, not only did I make Lynn do the budget and the bad stuff, I stole from her the good stuff. Good to be the Chancellor. Master plan. So let me update you on where we are with the master plan. As you know, when we talked in January, we were just moving into the heart of the master planning process. We had, after January, we had 3 community town hall meetings, and we had 3 campus town hall meetings where we talked about the direction of the campus and the goals that we would have in terms of our physical plant. Just to tell you the end of the story, right now we are in what they call the pre-application process with the county. So we have the master plan. It is just about final, the document. If you are interested in seeing it, we will make it available to you. Check with Marisa in Lynn's office and we can get that to you. There is, as an aside, we are taking PDFs down off of the website and have to, by law and by policy, remove PDFs because they're not accessible to readers. And so a lot of you have already been impacted as we're removing those PDFs, but it makes it more difficult to put an 80-page document up online for people to just download. So if you have questions about that, talk to people in Brenda's shop. If you want to see the actual master plan, talk to Lynn or Marisa. So in the interest of time and the fact that we'll be talking about the life sciences building in a minute and a half, I only showed the south part of campus on the slide, and there are really 2 pieces to show you. The idea of the architects is that the south part of campus, orange one, is that right? Right here? So they're recommending the placement of residence halls. We're talking about 300 beds as part of that. They're also recommending, our students have been saving for many years, that when we're ready to build a student union, that we bring it down here. And as a result, we begin to create a student corridor down here, potentially a fitness center, other opportunities for students in that particular area. So that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of residence halls and the development of the master plan. We will go through the pre-app there's a huge amount more. It's an 80-page document. I just summarized it in about 15 seconds. But we will now be working with the county because we can't start any of this until the county approves of it. As you know, housing is not an approved use for the university district that we're in. So a lot of this process is about getting the county to approve housing as an accepted use for the university district. Only then can we begin to explore housing on our campus. So with that in mind, we're working with the county. They're reviewing the document now. They will raise imminently any initial questions that they have, things, red flags that they see as they review the document. Our Board of Regents will approve the document on September 21st when we are hosting the Board of Regents meeting on campus. This is the first time that a first of the year Board of Regents meeting has been held outside of Pullman, and we will be hosting that. I'm kind of excited about that. And the county council, so we'll go through a hearing examiner process over the next year. The county council will vote in probably about May on our petition and to approve the new master plan. There are a number of steps in between that, and we've got great people working on it. Residence halls. So in addition to needing to be zoned for residence halls, we have been looking at what we want residence halls to look like. We're not a traditional student body. We're not really looking to become a traditional student body. We're not looking to become a residential campus either. You know, when we talk about 300 beds, remember that's less than 10% of our enrollment. So adding 300 beds does not suddenly make us a Pullman or a residential campus. But we want to serve the needs of our students, and what does that look like, and how do we provide housing that is attractive and can make sense for the range of our student body, the diversity of our student body, including the economic diversity of our student body. So we've begun to get some initial recommendations. Nancy and Lynn chaired a committee for us last year that began to just put some initial recommendations together for us. And I've just kind of given you those recommendations. And so we will be just pausing on that, because the worst thing to do would be to go public with what we're thinking about and really to begin moving in that direction when the county hasn't even approved it. It is not a fait accompli. We're going to work with the county to make this happen, and then we will begin to more seriously visit what housing would look like for our campus. And there are so many different funding models and approaches that we might use. The Life Sciences Building. So, as you will recall, we were approved for pre-design last year. Because of the one-year delay in approving the capital budget, our year-long pre-design process was completed in 6 months, and to really very, very positive information and feedback from WSU, and so that's been really terrific. So we are now gearing up for the next biennium to request design for this building, and feeling very positive about it. It certainly, in my time, we have never had a building that was ranked as high as this building ranks on WSU's list of priorities. I think we're number 3, right? And even the pre-design was, I think we eventually made it to 6, but they originally put us at 8. And so this is important within WSU. I think it's an indication of the support that Kirk has for the growth of our campus. And So we'll be continuing that, and then in the next biennium we will request the construction budget for it. So in the end, I may need Lynn anyway for this. This is the proposal for the life sciences building, for the site of where the building would be located. If you're trying to figure out where that is, this is engineering. In addition to the new life sciences building, they're envisioning a quad area, a second quad area that would link these two buildings and the science building. So that is what we're talking about, and then this is just sort of the site and what it would look like. We will, as we begin to think about fundraising and other aspects related, we'll begin to get more developed, more sophisticated concept designs for it. And this is what iTech Prep is going to look like. We have a groundbreaking coming up on September 7th for iTech, to which you are all invited. We'll make sure it goes into FYI. We had an opportunity that you can go on the Vancouver Public Schools website and see the video that goes along with this. And we had an opportunity to watch it at Cabinet. The architect came in, and I think to a person it was like, we want that building. They've done a beautiful job with it, including an indoor artificial turf area that will get used for interesting things. Lots of space available. It's not big enough to actually be a field. So the groundbreaking, they are hoping to be moving into the building in December of 19 and starting classes in there for the January term in 2020. So that's their timeline, and in all reality, this is the next construction project for our campus. And they've been a good partner, and you can see that they have picked up a lot of the design elements in the building that are common across campus and are built into our master plan as things that are valued design elements across the campus. So that's kind of where we are on the master plan. I'm going to introduce Obi to come talk about base training, but I want to sort of lead into that by talking about my evaluation with Kirk, which we did just a couple of weeks ago. And I'm still going to be here. Don't worry. Or don't rejoice. In that conversation, there are two things that I want to highlight. One is not related to all these things that we've been talking about today. He has really pushed us to develop a Portland strategy and is interested in potentially providing resources and talking about what that might look like. Not only has he been talking about that with me, but some of the other vice presidents have been talking about the need to be more regionally invested for all of WSU, not just for WSU Vancouver, on the Portland side of the river. And what would that look like? And as Kirk was talking to me about that, it's research partnerships, it is internships for students, and it is also how do we begin to recruit. We used to recruit. It has never been successful because the border bill is not our friend. And so what do we need to do to change things, to make the Portland area a more viable market for WSU Vancouver? Those are some of the questions that he is interested in, and so you will be hearing a lot about that over the course of the next several months, because he is very, very invested and really wants us to be there. And it is the right thing for us. We have 35,000 alumni for WSU who are a part of the Portland area. And we're already there extensively. So how do we begin to build on that and coordinate that in a more robust way? And so, and multifaceted way. So that's part of what we will be working on. The other thing that he talked about, I had 360s done this year, and a number of you participated. Thank you very much. He pointed out that every single one of my 360s mentioned the strategic plan. The work that we had done on the strategic plan, the way we went about developing the strategic plan, and the way we've gone about implementing the strategic plan, and really working hard to create that balance between dealing with budget, needing to meet the regular demands of the institution, and still needing to position the institution by investing in our strategic plan. And that was one of the things that he said that has made WSU Vancouver stand out in the system at the moment, and was really important to him, and part of what he saw as important to my tenure as Chancellor. And so that's not me. I'm clearly a part of it, but that's not me alone at all. And so thank you all for that work. One of the things that we have really been working on over the last few years is goal 4 of the strategic plan. How do we increase our work around diversity and inclusion on our campus? And what will that look like? How will we embrace goal 4 of the strategic plan and become a more inclusive campus, and make it possible for all of our students to succeed equally, and to address issues of bias and discrimination on our campus. And over the last couple of years, and particularly since Odie joined us last April, we've been investing heavily in that work and really moving the campus in that area. And there's a signature initiative that has been a part of that from the start. And Odie will tell us about it.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And y'all know I'm from the South, so when we say good afternoon, we like to hear it back. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right. So listen, I want to spend some time talking about BASE, building a community of equity. Before I get started, I am glad that I chose not to wear that today. My closet is to do. And so, again, Obi Ford, your campus director of equity and diversity. How many of you have heard of BASE? Lots of hands. Good. All right. How many of you have participated in a BASE workshop? Yes. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I also want to ask how many of you have heard of IDI, Intercultural Development Inventory? Okay, good. And some of y'all are like, I don't know, right? And so we're going to talk about both of these pieces because they are critical. The IDI is a critical piece of the BASE program, all right? How did we get here? Let me get this slide off of my picture there. How did we get here? We spent the last year in development of the BASE program. So some of you participated in a pilot workshop last April, yes? Right? And coincidentally, and in hindsight, I realized maybe not so coincidentally, those workshops happened on my first day on the job. And so I showed up and also presented a bit at those workshops. But what happened after those workshops, we had to figure that piece out, right? So we had a group of folks who were working very diligently to create that pilot program. And then when I arrived, I said, I want for us to spend the next year, right, in development and giving care and thought to a comprehensive program, a comprehensive, we talk about it as cultural competency, right? But I want to say from the outset that this work is about more than cultural competency, all right? It's about cultural humility, it's about cultural responsiveness, all right? It's about cultural equity, right? And we need to be thinking about the ways in which we call our communities in to disrupt and dismantle systemic barriers. And so this is important work not only for our faculty and staff, but most importantly for our students. All right, and so we spent that time last year looking at your feedback, looking at best practices, and engaging in some of the most beautiful conversations and critical conversations as a committee, right? And we arrived at some of our outcomes, looking at conceptual and practical frameworks, right? Thinking about that theory and practice of the work, all right? Folks will have an opportunity for self-reflection, right? Those group dynamics, being able to engage with one another. Right? And then the last 2 points really look at the how. Right? When we think about equity work, particularly on college campuses, there's a question of how do we implement it? Right? I don't have the skills. Right? And so we've been very intentional about each workshop, preparing folks with that skill building, right? And those opportunities to take action. Right? How do we infuse equity into our work? Okay? And so when we're thinking about action, we're looking at policy, procedure, pedagogy, right, and practice. Right? And so what we have here is a 12 hours certificate program. We say to take at least 12 hours, right? So that means you can take more than the 12 hours. And the base program is bookended by the IDI, the Intercultural Development Inventory. All right? And what that does, it looks at individual and group cultural competency. And it really looks at the mindset and skill sets across cultural differences. Right? Our mindset and skill set toward cultural differences. Right? Now, some of you have either registered for the IDI, some of you have already taken the IDI, so thank you very much. We have some great information. Shout out to Marcom getting the base program out there. And so we have a lot of folks who are registered. And what happens after you register for the IDI, which you can now do, the registration is live on the Equity University website. So you register online, and then within a few days, you'll hear from our qualified IDI administrator, Tracy Tashira. All right, and Tracy's going to give you an email invitation to take the IDI. Tracy, can you wave? Yes. And so Tracy will give you that email invitation and directions in terms of how to register, to take the IDI, how to complete the IDI. And what you can then do, right, after you have completed the IDI is either an individual or group debrief. Okay? Now, in order to take any base workshop, you have to take the IDI. You have to complete the IDI. Right? Because who wouldn't want to participate in the array of amazing workshops that we have here? Right, so I asked from the outset how many of you have participated in a base workshop. Many of you in spring of 17 participated in that Equity Mindedness 101. Right, so that was the very first workshop. That was the pilot workshop. So any of you who have completed that, you already have 2 hours applying toward that 12 hours base certificate. Okay. Then you have a series of courses here from Group 2. Select at least one of those. All right. Then you have Group 3 there. Select at least one. And then Group 4 really looks at, it's really more of an electives category. All right. So you'll select at least 2 courses from that group, or you can also choose courses from 2 and 3, Groups 2 and 3 to satisfy Group 4. All right. The really cool thing about this is that registration is now open for base workshops as well. And so what you need to do is visit the Equity and Diversity web page. You can get all of the information about the base program there. You can register to take the IDI there. All of our fall workshops are available there, and you can register online for those. And some of you during the spring of 18 and summer of 18 did some work around universal design. Those of you who did those sorts of workshops, you had hours applying toward the base program. Those were pilot workshops. I did a microaggressions workshop over the summer as well. Those of you who participated in that, that was a pilot workshop toward base. And so some of you had hours applying toward the program. Now you also have to make sure that you take the IDI, right? Make sure that you get that IDI taken. Again, the work is much bigger than cultural competency. It's cultural competency and, right, humility, responsiveness, equity, right? And so again, I ask you as I did last year, if you are with me in this work, let me hear you say yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I am with you too, so let's build our community of equity. Let's continue to serve, love, inspire, create, and elevate in the name of community. Thank you.
You know, sorry, this fell out of my pocket. This is important work. We have asked and are asking supervisors to make it possible for any of their staff who want to attend. We're going to make it possible for students to participate in this work. It is very much going to the core of what we need to be as an inclusive campus. And so I appreciate all of you who helped in the preparation of the workshops and all of those of us who will participate in them as well. I'm not going to give you a big update on the strategic plan today. There's been progress. We will make it, as we did last year, one of the foci of our State of Campus Address. Reports come in December so that we can use them in the spring semester to populate the various forms and requirements that we have with regard to planning and WSU and other kinds of necessities, as well as some of the community response that we need to get around our strategic plan. What I want to tell you is that, and you will see this as well when the magazine comes out in next week or so.
Right after Labor Day.
Right after Labor Day. But Brenda and her team have worked together to put slides for each of the five goals. And my main point in showing you this one as an example of what we have is that we want you to be able to use those slides in presentations that you're doing. And so these are, did we get done 5 or is it still 6? 5 slides that are one for each goal of the strategic plan that sort of gives our status on some of our accomplishments with regard to the strategic plan over the first 2 years of the plan. So as you are thinking about community presentations that you might be doing or opportunities where information on Washington State University, Vancouver is related to some of the work, we want to make these slides available to you to incorporate them into the presentations that you're doing. It also gives us a consistent theme across the variety of presentations that we are doing each year in the community and often on campus as well. So that's my main point in dealing with Destination 2021 today, and I think that is what I have, correct? So, what questions do you have? And let me point out that it is 5 of 5. Yeah.
The first one was, are there any current plans established with the prioritize and planning campus expansion and concerns about another space for student diversity center?
So she asked whether any of our plans at the moment call for expansion of the Student Diversity Center. Our space needs are always coming up, and the Diversity Center is one of those needs where we understand that there is a constrained space. That said, I don't know of any specific plans that are related to right now finding another space for the Diversity Center that would be larger.
Last one, sorry. And then, are there any intentions, or how can I as a student petition towards the addition of more cultural studies courses? More specifically, like African American studies, Latino studies, etc. Not just for those who identify, but as those demographics, but to also offer a non-biased perspective into the lives of those people and their experiences, so that they can understand kind of the impressions and kind of especially like fear or ignorance or bias themselves towards how they're calling or the things they commonly face, and like, especially in our kind of society.
Absolutely, it's a great question, and when we talk about the work that we have to do, the curriculum, whether it is what we do in courses that we currently offer or additional courses that we need to offer that deal with people's experiences across the cultures, that's hugely important to the evolution of our campus, and we tried to model that over the last few years. And Rennie is the person that you would speak to, and she will now speak back to you.
Well, and I'd like to add that the Student Senate did pass a resolution in the spring calling for bringing ethnic studies to this campus. And we, Amy Wharton, the academic director for Arts and Sciences, and I have had some conversations about this, and she and I have both spoken with people in Pullman, and so we are moving towards perhaps in the not too distant future being able to actually bring the critical ethnic studies minor to this campus. But one thing that it's complicated because there's just been a major reorganization of the department in Pullman, and they're doing a major revision of their curriculum, and so it's a long process to extend that to this campus, but we are moving forward on that. And also, I really listened to the wording of what you were saying, and I think one of the things that we can do right now is put out information about the classes that we do already offer that already exist, but they are spread across a variety of different departments, and so they have different prefixes and different names that might not immediately pop out that those classes do address these issues in the ways you described. So I think we could do something to make information about what's already available more clear and open to students.
Thanks, Rennie. Thank you. Close. All right. Thank you for everything. Our students, clearly the ones that I've been meeting all week, are so grateful for the support that they've gotten in their first week, and the friendliness of the campus and the willingness of faculty to let them into classes. Hopefully that's the continued willingness of faculty to let them into classes. It's been a great start to the semester, so thank you all so much for the work that you have done. And now a reception, as always, in 129 130.